In the world of Demon Slayer, the most talented warriors have a chance to develop a mysterious tattoo or a scar. These tattoos are referred to as Demon Slayer marks. Each mark looks unique, relating to the breathing style of the bearer. In this video, we'll explain how every Hashira awakened the mark and which powers they gained from it. The true origin of the Demon Slayer marks are unknown. However, the first recorded occurrence of these markings was in the Sengoku era, and the first ever bearer was none other than Yoriichi Sugikuni, who, for unknown reasons, was born with a Demon Slayer mark. Besides him, almost every single swordsman during the Sengoku era awakened their mark as well. Upon awakening the mark, the user is granted superhuman strength, speed, and enhanced breathing techniques beyond that of a normal breath user. Their strength and speed could even rival that of the strongest demons, such as the upper ranks of the 12 Kazuki. Although the Demon Slayer mark grants users many different abilities, by far the strongest one is Bright Red Nichiren Sword. Everyone activates this technique differently. For Tanjiro and Yoriichi, it naturally activates when they are engaging in combat. On the other hand, Muichiro and Obanai managed to turn their swords red by focusing all of their strength into their grip. And lastly, Sanemi and Gyoume managed to achieve this with friction by clashing their weapons. Apart from Red Nichiren Sword, those with Demon Slayer mark are fully able to access the transparent world. A person that possesses this ability becomes able to see the muscles, blood flow, and joint movement in living beings, allowing the user to accurately predict and react to their opponent's movements, as well as confirm the health and well-being of others. With this ability, Yoriichi was able to locate Muzan's 7 hearts and 5 brains. Tanjiro was able to decapitate Akaza, and Gyoume was able to stand his ground against Kokushibo. With all that being said, Transparent World is surely one of the most powerful abilities gained by those with mark. But all this power comes at a great cost. Swordsmen who have awakened the Demon Slayer mark are destined to die upon reaching the age of 25. Kokushibo mentioned that it reduces their lifespan due to the strain on their bodies. In a conversation Muichiro had with Gyoume, Gyoume describes the curse's effect as paying one's lifespan in advance in the exchange for a greater physique. It is still possible to awaken the mark after a Demon Slayer is older than 25, evident in Gyoume's case, who is 27 years old. He managed to activate the mark and receive the benefits without dying immediately. Kokushibo surmised that due to his unique situation, Gyoume would die within a few hours of activating it. Though Kokushibo's prediction came true, it is unknown if Gyoume's death was a result of the curse or his injuries from the final battle against Muzan. So how many known Demon Slayers managed to awaken their mark? The first one is, of course, Yoriichi, the original creator of breathing styles. He was born with it, possessing the tremendous physical abilities granted by its effects throughout his entire lifespan. Being the first person ever with Demon Slayer mark, Yoriichi was by far the strongest human to ever exist. He was the only person to ever pose a serious threat to the Demon King, Muzan. During his fight against Muzan, Yoriichi was able to gain instant advantage and even perform his special 13th sun-breathing form. He was inches away from killing the Demon King and was the only man in history to do so all by himself. Unlike all other mark users in his era, Yoriichi was able to defy fate and live to about 85 years of age. It is a complete mystery as to why Yoriichi was immune to mark's effects, but it's presumably because he was the first one ever to have it and born with it naturally, unlike all other mark bearers who must train to attain it. Another mark Demon Slayer from the Sengoku era is Michikatsu Sugikuni, also known as Kokushibo. Before he became a demon, he was a twin brother of Yoriichi Sugikuni, and also the second strongest Demon Slayer to ever exist. Michikatsu's main motivation was to become stronger than his brother, and therefore he joined the Demon Slayer Corps so that he could train alongside him. Not long after that, he awakened his Demon Slayer mark. Similar to Yoriichi, Michikatsu awakened the Transparent World, which he used with great proficiency, and was even able to identify that Muichiro was his descendant simply by looking at him. Now onto our protagonist, Tanjiro Kamado. Not many people know this, but Tanjiro had the Demon Slayer mark all along. This is due to him and his family being closely tied with sun breathing, as all sun breathing users have Demon Slayer marks. The scar on his forehead is actually a hidden Demon Slayer mark that was yet to develop into a fully transformed mark. After the Hashira training arc, his scar is replaced with a permanent flame mark, and when he activates his Demon Slayer mark, it grows in size. Interestingly enough, Tanjiro's mark is exactly the same as the marks of Yoriichi and Kokushibo. Tanjiro awakens his mark for the first time while fighting upper rank 6, Gyutaro, which granted him the arm strength needed to behead the demon. He later awakened it again while unleashing the Dragon Sun Halo head dance against Hantengu's clones. Later, the mark reappears during his rematch against upper rank 3, 𝐿𝐴𝐾𝐽. The drawback to his mark state is that Tanjiro can only enter it on rare occasions, and he can only use it for a very short period, since it causes exhaustion to his body as proven in all of his battles against the upper ranks. Tanjiro first unlocked the bright red sword ability with the help of Nezuko. She lit his sword on fire using her pyrokinetic blood demon art, which gave him an edge over Hantengu's clones and drastically slowed down their regenerative abilities. After mastering the sun breathing, Tanjiro gains the ability to turn his Nichiren sword bright red all by himself. He later managed to do it one final time with the help of Giyu to drive Muzan into a corner and hamper his instantaneous regeneration. Like his father, he gained the ability to foresee the opponent's attacks by analyzing and perceiving his opponent's blood flow, muscles, and joint alignment. In this state, his movement, intuition, and evasion speed increased dramatically. He accessed this state by remembering his father's words and used it in the midst of battle to defeat 𝐴𝐾𝐽. Although he has also learned how to use it, he is not completely proficient in it, as shown when he had trouble perceiving it during his fight against Muzan. Another young demon slayer that was able to unlock his demon slayer mark is Muichiro Tokito. Muichiro is the youngest person ever to become a Hashira, being only 14 years old. He played a major role in defeating upper rank 5 Gyoko at Swordsmith Village. After escaping from the water prison that Gyoko trapped him in, Muichiro's memories of his past all came back. The anger over his brother's death manifests into his demon slayer mark. His speed and abilities dramatically increased as he goes into the shed and attacks Gyoko. Gyoko retaliates with his blood demon art, and Muichiro's blade breaks trying to cut it, prompting Kozo to quickly hand him his new one. He then goes on and uses mist breathing, 5th form, sea of clouds, and haze, landing a blow on Gyoko's neck. Gyoko tries using another blood demon art, but Muichiro easily counters it with mist breathing, slicing the head of the demon's molt as he escapes to a tree. Upper rank 5 then transforms into his real form, becoming vastly stronger. The two engage each other again, Gyoko using his blood demon art and Muichiro responding with the form he personally developed, mist breathing, 7th form, obscuring clouds. When Gyoko tries to find him in a sea of mist, Muichiro effortlessly decapitates him, defeating an upper moon and only 14 years of age. However, after the fight, his mark vanishes and he immediately begins to suffer from the effects of the poison, showing that the mark is only effective for as long as it is manifested. Another Hashira that plays a major role in the Swordsmith Village arc is Mitsuri. She is the love Hashira, and even though she looks like a helpless girl, don't let the looks fool you. She's one of the strongest swordsmen in the series. At Swordsmith Village, when Tanjiro is swallowed by one of Zohakuten's tree dragons, Mitsuri slices the creature's head in half, carrying Tanjiro on her back safely. Mitsuri continues to battle against Zohakuten, dodging his attacks and countering with love breathing. The demon realizes that she is too fast and is keeping up with his attacks, and as a response, he uses blood demon art, countless striking trees, lashing out many wooden dragons. Mitsuri becomes a bit nervous at how wide-ranged it is and questions if she can get past it. With some effort, she manages to get past the attack and comes very close to Zohakuten. The demon opens his mouth, confusing Mitsuri, though she brushes it off and goes for his neck. Tanjiro yells to her that he is not the real body and he will not die if his head is cut off. The love Hashira realizes her mistake and is fiercely hit by Zohakuten's compressed sound waves. She loses consciousness and slumps before the upper rank. While being in a coma, Mitsuri had unconsciously awakened and obtained her demon slayer mark, which takes the form of two hearts upside down and opposite from each other, with angel wings on both sides. Once she regains consciousness, Mitsuri engages Zohakuten once again. She gained a lot of power and speed by awakening her Demon Slayer mark, and she managed to keep Zohakuten busy while Tanjiro defeated the main body. During the final battle in the Infinity Castle, Demon Slayer marks played a big part in Hashira's fight against Upper Moons. Wandering through the castle, Tanjiro and Giyu ran into none other than upper rank 3 𝐴𝐾𝐽 himself. As Giyu attacks, he immediately uses water breathing, impressing 𝐴𝐾𝐽, as it had been 50 years since he ran into someone as good as Giyu. He uses his destructive death, sending a flurry of punches that produce giant shockwaves at Giyu, which he negates using his own creation, water breathing 11th form, Dead Calm. Not long after, Giyu is sent flying away by one of 𝐴𝐾𝐽's kicks. Giyu soon returns, angry, and finally manifests a Demon Slayer mark as he begins to engage 𝐴𝐾𝐽 again. 𝐴𝐾𝐽 immediately matches Giyu's new speed and eventually gains the upper hand, breaking Giyu's blade with a punch. As 𝐴𝐾𝐽 closes in for the final blow, his hand is cut off by Tanjiro mid-attack, saving Giyu. Giyu then re-engages 𝐴𝐾𝐽 once more, but is eventually defeated when 𝐴𝐾𝐽's final form breaks through his Dead Calm technique. Giyu then watches as 𝐴𝐾𝐽 is beheaded by Tanjiro. This fight is very interesting, as we got to see how strong Upper Moon 3 really is, as well as how the Demon Slayer mark may not be enough to defeat some of the Upper Moons. Somewhere else in the Infinity Castle, Muichiro and Genya were about to die at the hands of Upper Moon 1, Kokushibo. Suddenly, Genya's brother, Sanemi, rescues him by reflecting the upper rank's attack with his wind breathing. Kokushibo makes his distance and sees that the wind Hashira has come in his presence. The two then start their intense duel. As both of their swords clash, Kokushibo uses the moon breathing, forcing him to backstep away from the attack. Sanemi is confused as to how so many slashes are appearing, even when the upper rank isn't swinging his blade. Sanemi counters his attack with the wind breathing, and Kokushibo praises both Sanemi and his attacks for being at their absolute peak. Sanemi thinks to himself that he cannot stop getting goosebumps at Kokushibo's overall prowess and skill. Kokushibo eventually overpowers Sanemi, knocking him back and decimating the surrounding landscape, wounding him heavily. Just as it seemed that Sanemi was about to die, he was saved by 𝐿𝐤. As Sanemi goes to stitch himself up, 𝐿𝐤 starts exchanging blows with Upper Moon. As the battle progresses, 𝐿𝐤 revealed that he too has awakened his mark, appearing as cracked earth fissure-like patterns on both of his forearms. When awakened, it drastically increases his physical abilities such as his strength, allowing him to stand his ground against Kokushibo for some time. 𝐿𝐤 goes on to use many of his stone breathing techniques, all in an attempt to gain some advantage over the Upper Moon. Meanwhile, Sanemi, who is able to patch up his injuries, also awakens his Demon Slayer mark that resembled a single paper origami windmill that is green in color with 2 dots on both sides on his right cheek. The mark dramatically increases his physical capabilities, as seen when Sanemi was still able to fight and contend with Kokushibo, despite being grievously injured. However, even though his physical endurance, strength, and tolerance to pain dramatically increased, Sanemi couldn't land a significant hit on Kokushibo without assistance from 𝐿𝐤 and Muichiro. It took all 3 Hashiras with all their power combined to finally defeat the Upper Rank 1. It's safe to assume that without the powers of the marks, the Demon Slayers would stand no chance against Kokushibo and would be killed very quickly. Later on, during the final battle against Muzan, Obanai also awakened his own Demon Slayer mark. His Demon Slayer mark took the form of 3 snake-like tattoo patterns. The mark boosted all of Iguro's natural abilities, as seen when he was able to land powerful sword slashes against Muzan, swiftly dodge and maneuver himself to avoid all of his immensely fast attacks, and increase his physical stamina and durability, allowing him to fight despite being severely injured. After remembering how Muichiro turned his blade red, Obanai puts all of his strength into gripping his blade, turning it bright red. However, he put too much strength into his grip and almost fainted due to the lack of oxygen. Turning his Nichiren sword bright red proved to be extremely effective against Muzan, allowing his attacks to hamper his immediate regeneration. Check out this video where we explained all future Hashiras in the Demon Slayer Corps. What are you waiting for? Click it.